every Sunday at 6 p.m. Zishan on air में बहुत मजा आएगा and I'm looking forward to it.
Hello everyone and Assalamu alaikum. This is Ishan Isaac with Ishan on air every Sunday from 6 p.m. and onward. We would like to start off interestingly with our friends and our neighbors up north, where the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, has said U.S. has declared a trade war on Canada. And he also said, Donald, you are a very smart guy. This is a very dumb thing to do. So this is, again, a very interesting commentary. And obviously, sometimes the tariffs are on, sometimes they are off. But this is, again, the psychodrama, as Reuters put it in the right way, the psychodrama, because the Trump administration is still trying to figure out, should they put tariffs or should they not put tariffs? And the key issue here is, and there's no such thing as Bidenomics or Trumponomics or Obamanomics, right? It's economics. That's what we have all studied. And the markets are reacting in a very negative way. As you can see that the Dow Jones was down 709 points, and then 519 points, and that went up 488 points to gain some obviously lost ground. But again, it went down again at 269 points. Then it closed on Friday, obviously, with 222 points, just on the positive news of the job numbers. But again, it's a very unstable economy, as President Trump has always said it very openly that he won the election on economy and inflation. Well, Americans, we're all still waiting for that day when our inflation would go down and our economy would become better, and I would say stable. So right now, what is happening, the Dow Jones Industrial Average on the inauguration day, it was at 3.9%. Since inauguration, the Dow Jones is down 1.6%. That's the market. And Trump, even when he was campaigning and even in his first term and until now, he has always been talking about the market. And then when someone asked him, a reporter and a journalist at the Oval Office about the markets, and are you watching this? And he said, oh, I don't even watch the market. So how do you win with the President Trump? There is no winning, because obviously now he doesn't even watch the market anymore. That's what he said. So change in Dow Jones average since inauguration in 2017, it was 5.7%. With different presidents, as those who can see on the screen. In 93 with President Clinton, it was 5%. With Obama, it was 5%. With George W. Bush Jr., it was 3.8%, 2005. And then with the Clinton again, 1997, 2.3%. And with even Biden in 2021, it was 1.5%. But here, at this point, change in Dow Jones average in 1989 with George Bush Sr., it was 1.5%. In 2001, with 1.3%, Dow Jones was up. And then in 2009, which was a complete financial collapse of the markets, I would say, it was minus 20% under Obama. And then he basically restabilized and put the floor back, because the bottom fell off, according to President Obama. That's basically, I'm quoting him. That's what he said back in 2009 and even running up to the election. And now in 2025, it's negative 1.6% under President Trump. So it's happening under his watch. The other important thing is the consumer confidence index. It's really has gone down. It was in January, it was 105.3. It was euphoria. A lot of Republicans, MAGA, and even the right-wing, alt-right, what have you, they were all jumping up and down. And now not many people are jumping up and down. There will still be few because of the Messiah figure that they see in President Trump. So February, now it's 7 points down to 98.3. One more thing that we have to keep in mind, that even at the international scale and the global, I would say, policy shifting that we are seeing, a country like Singapore, Singapore's defense minister, Angie Eng Hen, and these are the folks, they live in a very interesting neighborhood because China is a very dominant player over there. So they always been very neutral. So even their defense minister of Singapore has said that US has changed from liberator to great disruptor to a landlord seeking rent. And those are some, very interesting choice of words. And then even the senior minister in Singapore has said the US is no longer prepared to underwrite the global order. This makes the international environment far less orderly and predictable. And this is not it. I mean, if we continue to basically now go down to the State of the Union, where not a single time even I heard, and it was a very difficult speech to watch because it was so long, 1 hour, over 1 hour, 30 minutes, over 90 minutes. And it was not connected with the Americans because some of the things like we know right now that 60% of Americans, they live paycheck to paycheck. So we didn't hear anything about that. Not even a single word on economy, the economic reality facing Americans, workers and all Americans. And then also with regards to healthcare, we didn't hear anything about prescription drugs, that how those prices are going down. Again, not a single word. And then 800,000 Americans, that's right, 800,000 Americans are homeless. So we have a major housing crisis, not a single word on that. And then wealth inequality. 3 Americans now own more than half of the American society. Let that sink in. That's 170 million Americans. So these 3 people now, we know all those 3, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and then I believe third one is either Bill Gates or maybe Warren Buffett. So these 3 or 4 people, they own more wealth than half of the Americans. So this is very mind-boggling. Then what else has happened? US has withdrawn from World Health Organization. That's what we know now. The Paris Climate Accord, US has withdrawn. UN Human Rights Council, US has withdrawn. Freeze on all foreign aid. That's where we have a little bit win, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then also with regards to all Biden's environmental restrictions ended. That means no clean water, no clean air. Does that mean our Republican friends, they don't want to breathe clean air and they want to drink muddy water? I don't think so. And that's exactly where Republicans and MAGA and supporters, which I don't know, I don't think they can ever even ask a question. They'll be thrown out of the party. So that's basically what's going on. And then the electric vehicles mandate ended. But then again, Elon Musk going to get a little bit more, I would say, leeway and will get more out of the SpaceX program and space exploration. That's where the minerals deal with Ukraine comes into the picture, and I'll tell you a little bit about that too in a second. And then also with regards to DEI ended. So in federal government, the private sector and military, and then even Target and some Costco and some other private sector companies, when they are saying no, I mean, this is not just hiring people without merit. They always hire people on merit. Maybe there are some always few cases here and there, but that doesn't mean diversity, equity, inclusion that basically is our strength. But no more, because that's what Pete Hegseth already said in the Pentagon. So these are things happening in real time. This is where any historian, any independent journalist, when they will write the history, this is that moment that is happening right now. Then what about the Social Security databases? Now, President Trump made all these claims that Senator Bernie Sanders has refuted all of them. For example, he said 1.3 million over the age of 150 years, 259 years old people, they're getting those checks. 130,000 people, he said, are over the age of 160 years old getting the checks. Then he said 1,039 people between the age of 220 and 229 are getting the checks. And then one person between the age of 240 and 249 getting a paycheck, and one person at 360 years old. I mean, these are, again, according to Senator Bernie Sanders, he said that these are all false claims. So who is fact checking the president? I don't know. That's where you have to ask the Washington Press and all these big corporate mainstream media. But we are asking these questions. And then the good news is, at least with all this, the bad and the awful, that no tax on income tax. Yes, absolutely. I'm all for it. Although a lot of people may say that, why, Zishan, you're saying that? Well, remember, the income tax in this country started after the First World War. And then obviously they said we have to pay for the war, and then the Second World War. So that's basically how it started. So it was only for the short-term time being. Now, go figure. Now it has been 80 years, and that income tax has never been gone away. So that's the good news. Hopefully, we'll see some light at the end of the tunnel here, where we will have external revenue service versus the internal revenue service, where just you continue to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze the Americans and the middle class and the working class, and then the super rich, they always get the biggest check, or the I would say tax breaks. And that's where the problem is, because the Democratic Party, they say, okay, let's have a fair share, but no one is talking about ending the income tax. And that's where Trump has gained ground, and he also won the election. And then obviously no income tax, and then no tax on tips, and no tax on overtime. Those are all good things. That's, I would say, is a bipartisan issue and should be like that. But right now, let's face it, Democrats are in disarray, and we don't have the right kind of solidified, centralized leadership at the Washington, D.C. level. And that's where I'm doing my part, at least at the local level, to keep myself informed, to keep all of us informed, and to keep all fellow Democrats, and even those who are independents, and they may lean toward my vision and my aspects of let's look at this from a common sense perspective, because a lot of us as Democrats, we're common sense people. And then some Republicans, hopefully they will be scratching their heads, because none of my friends, yes, believe me, they are my friends who still voted for President Trump, and none of them are proud of their vote so far. They are saying that in private setting. They may never, I would say, own it in a public setting, because that's a kind of political temperature is so high, and the political rhetoric and the environment that we are in. So we gotta be thoughtful of that. Now, one good news is that that the tax relief to the top 1% of Americans, compared to even under the President Trump and Trump administration plan, is peanuts given to what the American average worker or the American average families or average American will get. So compared to the tax relief to the billionaires, we cannot even compare it, because that's like peanuts or pocket change that would be given back to even a tax rate. But people are happy even to take $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. They're like, yay, we got it. But imagine how much millions and millions and billions of dollars of tax breaks are given to the super rich. Again, who is thinking these days, right? No one. And then good news is Honda is going to Indiana to open up a manufacturing plant. So that's good news. We want manufacturing here. But the bad news is, because of all these tariffs, and it has been put back on pause, and President Trump has said, and the administration, and Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, has also said on Meet the Press today that, well, we're gonna, revisit this, and on April 2nd, and they always use fentanyl as a excuse, because only less than 1%, and some say 2%, but it's 1% that basically comes from Canada, but 97% or more is coming from Mexico. So let's not be deceived and be completely, get carried away with this whole fentanyl issue. Even one life loss is one too many. But then is fentanyl the enemy of the state? If it is, then what about people who maybe have this problem? Let's figure it out, and let's try to solve this in a way where we're not now hurting 98 or 99% or even 99.9% of the population. Because with these tariffs on automobiles, what would happen, $9,000 would go up. And then the same thing with regards to lumber, housing prices. Imagine that 25% of lumber comes from Canada. So that's insane. But that's where, like President Trump said to Democrats, lunatics. So what should we say? Those are also lunatics policies in terms of how average American would get hit. And then all these tariffs on China, where it's already now bumped up from 10% to 20%. And President Trump said in his State of the Union address that, there could be some, disturbances. Yes, absolutely some disturbances, but people they cannot put food on the table. Those Americans, 60% Americans, they live paycheck to paycheck. How are they going to face that disturbances? Yes, many billionaire friends and people who are in the super rich club or millionaires, they won't even feel a dime. So who are we talking about? That's where the problem is, that when people get elected, they get into Washington, D.C., they get into this bubble. And then that's basically what President Trump has believed, that, oh, there will be some disturbances, but it'll be okay. No, we won't be okay, because talk to those people, 60% of those Americans who basically will not be okay, because they are not okay right now. They cannot put food on the table and pay their bills. They live paycheck to paycheck. So how will they be okay? So again, this is again the questions that we're asking. Auto tariffs on American-made automobiles, as we know, is also not good. That's why the markets have spoken, and that's where now that has given some pause to President Trump. But no one is going to forget about this, because sometimes that's what some politicians do. They say these things, they think that, oh, now the media and the buzz will go down, and then people forget, and then I'm going to go back and do this. I don't think. I think people are watching it like a hawk, and it's going to impact their pocketbooks. He mentioned in the State of the Union about India has higher than 100% tariffs on automobiles of US. Well, have you seen the roads in India? I mean, I don't know. Even in Europe, they cannot even drive our trucks and automobiles. They're so huge. And then obviously the miles per gallon issue as well. So yes, they have those tariffs, but you can debate on that, absolutely, that yes, they should import more US vehicles. Then twice as much in China, and then South Korea 4 times higher. And then April 2nd, that's where the reciprocal tariffs will go in. So let's see how that will shape up. Then there will be non-monetary tariffs or barriers. Trump administration will do the same. Hundreds, billions of dollars of subsidies to Canada and Mexico, he has talked about. So let's see if the tariffs are imposed even on April 2nd, then what type of subsidies we will get here internally. Now, Houston was mentioned. Jocelyn was assaulted and murdered. 2 members of Venezuelan prison gang, Trendy Iguana, or Iragua. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Those basically were part of that prison gang, and then MS-13 and then Mexican drug cartels. They all have been designated as the foreign terrorist organizations. So that's good news, because definitely we want to protect Americans. Anyone murdering a police officer will be given a death penalty. This is where there is a divide, I would say, in terms of the Main Street, because we saw what happened with George Floyd, with Black Lives Matter, and then now Derek Chauvin is basically maybe pardoned. So that would be interesting. I don't want to see riots. I don't want to see these peaceful protests turn into becoming violent. But hopefully that issue will be thought through, and we will come to some type of an arrangement where law enforcement officers, we have to respect them, but those, if there are any kind of black sheep, or I would say rogue officers, then the department, every police department should definitely do their own due diligence to make sure that they have their own processes in place. And then also Panama Canal would be reclaimed. And then again, I personally not happy about President saying radical Islamic terrorism. This Abbey terrorism, Pakistan handled the terrorist over to the United States. Government of Pakistan was thanked. But the reason I'm saying, remember, they always say that they always call it radical Islamic terrorism. Just say what it is, right? But what about Putin? They always say, say it. Now, evil dictator or thug or killer, what have you, Putin is one of the best friends now of Republicans and of Trump administration. So I'm just saying, right? I mean, a lot of people are just asking these questions. So you're okay to use this double standard by saying radical Islamic terrorism and saying it out loud everywhere as if Islam or religion has anything to do with terrorism. So you're okay saying that, but you are not okay saying it to Putin that, yes, you are a dictator. So this is the classic kind of double standard that we see from Republicans, unfortunately. And that's why Democrats, some people believe that, Democrats are soft on terrorism or soft on extremism. No. Democrats, we think more broadly and we try to get to the root cause, and these are very sensitive, complex issues. So just by calling it in a very black and white way, which is in fact not even black and white, but by just calling it and linking it to religion is just absolutely wrong. Because I will always remind people about Timothy McVeigh. He was a devout Christian. So then should we say radical Christian terrorism that happened in Oklahoma City? And that's just our neighboring state up north. So these are just a very bad way to even divide Americans even further. Very bad way. This is not a smart or shrewd or being a very clever politician. No, this is basically that divides Americans. And then it also creates disharmony, and then people they do not trust even law enforcement or FBI or CIA when they are putting their lives at risk as well to really stop these bad people, terrorists, or these folks who want to take innocent lives. And that's where the crux of the matter is. So it's up to us as Americans to stand up and basically ask our law enforcement officials if they use radical Islamic terrorism as a term, or our elected officials or those who you have voted. It's up to you. So that's another key issue that came up. And then Ibrahim Accords were mentioned. He will build on it. One more thing with regards to Trump, just now in his speech, obviously the other day, he said, good luck, Marco. We know who to blame if anything goes wrong. So poor Marco. But then again, he got confirmed with 99 of the votes. And here is Congressman Al Green. We all saw what happened. This is again the disarray of Democratic leadership, because some people were in favor, some were not. Not everyone walked out, and then he was censured. And even many Democrats, there are at least 10 Democrats, they voted with the Republicans to censure him. So this is what's happening. But one thing is in common between Kremlin and Trump administration, and it's being reported as well, as you can see on the screen, that a fragmentation of West is beginning. That's what the spokesman of Kremlin said. And then a total lack of diplomatic ability. Kremlin reacts to Oval Office clash. That was with Zelensky. So a lot has happened. And this is from BBC Urdu and Hindi. Kabul airport mastermind obviously was arrested. ISI, which is the intelligence agency of Pakistan, they want to have good relations with Trump. And this is where the CIA chief has said this. So I would just take a very quick pause here. We've got to understand that Pakistan is not a functioning democracy. We should all know that. And many of us who are paying attention, we know this. So the military, they are the ones who control the government. So even the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, he may not even know that this fella was even arrested, because it's the army and the ISI. And then what kind of image and reputation that the government of Pakistan or the military or the ISI has now sent all over the world. All these terrorist people all over the world, you're the one who is always in contact with them. Osama bin Laden, one case, right? And second one is this guy. And then there are many others. Even President Musharraf wrote in his book. So what is going on? That's a question for the Pakistanis to ask themselves. As an American, I'm very disappointed and surprised that all these bad guys are always in Pakistan, or you go in Afghanistan and you are in contact with them and you find them. So a lot of people are asking these questions as well, because are you nurturing these terrorists? Some of my American friends ask me this question when in fact I'm working in corporate America, and I was surprised to hear that question. So I'm asking this question here. So what is going on? What should I give them the answer? Just because I was born in Pakistan, now people can just ask me that question, although I was a teenager when I came here. So I don't know. You got to go ask the Prime Minister of Pakistan. You got to go ask the military chief and the ISI chief of Pakistan this particular question, that how come you're always in so much close coordination and in connection with terrorists that you always find them and hand it over to CIA? And very interestingly, right? And even CIA sometimes don't even know where these terrorists are, but you know. So this is very interesting that is happening, right? And I'm smiling, but let's see who is going to ask that question, because whoever is going to ask this question in Pakistan, I guarantee you that person would be abducted. That person will be taken to somewhere, someplace, and then he will come back and say, I'm sorry, they're doing a great job, and let them just have it. And again, I think fool me once, shame on you, and fool me twice, shame on me, right? So this is the history of Pakistan, just as an FYI. So unfortunately, the government of Pakistan, or the military, or the establishment actually, and the ISI, they want to be in very good terms with Trump. But remember, President Trump is a transactional guy. He may like you today, but he may not like you tomorrow. For example, on March 21st, this is reported by CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations, that Pakistan may be included in the Muslim Ban 2.0. Now, go figure. That's right, Muslim Ban 2.0 is coming fast and furious. So you just heard it here, and the administration is already working on it. And then obviously, if you want talks, stop attacking U.S. Said, and then stop attacking us. That's what Zelensky said. And then some other information I'm sharing here with regards to this Truth Social post that President Trump posted as the President of the United States of America. I'm putting it on the screen. It was Shalom Hamas, means hello and goodbye. You can choose, release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or is it over for you? And I don't want to read the whole thing, but again, Hamas is a terrorist organization. So this is, again, very one-sided, because if you ask a Palestinian and Palestinian Americans, that's what they are telling me as well. And they say that very one-sided. So what happened to American leadership, where Americans were always trying to find the solution? And we know the Oslo Accords, we know the Camp David peace agreement, and all these things happen under the various American administrations and leaderships. Inside the explosive meeting where Trump officials clash with Elon Musk, well, why did that happen? I'll tell you. Veterans were fired from federal jobs, say they feel betrayed, including some who voted for Trump. And then here are some other news from Associated Press, where even not just veterans, but Jared Evans, a recreation therapist at the Salem VA, was fired in February, his 8th month as a probationary worker. And he had moved from California with his wife and 3-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter for a job that he had long wanted. So Evans, 36-year-old Army veteran. So that's another person. He was fired. Cynthia Williams, an Army veteran. She was fired. Matthew Sims, an Army veteran. And basically, he was there last month as a program support assistant at a mental health clinic at VA in Salem, Virginia. That's the reason Elon Musk is also on fire, because the Republicans cannot even hold town hall meetings right now with their constituents, because people are angry and people are upset and they are asking the right questions. So they have just stopped having town hall meetings. Can you believe that? Yes, that's exactly what's happening. And then an interview with several veterans who supported candidates of both parties described their recent job losses as a betrayal of their military service. And I completely agree with these veterans who basically were fired, and it is a betrayal. And why did they not look at this in a responsible manner? So this firing happened in a very abrupt manner, and this is where Republicans have to ask this question. That's the reason this Marco Rubio or Elon Musk clash that leaked into the press, and then the Trump administration has said, no, everyone is just singing Kumbaya. But Republicans, and good Republicans, I would say, who are actually asking the tough questions, maybe in private, they are very upset. And then I've been blindsided, another one said, and then you can see this on my screen as well on Associated Press. But at the same time, we have taxpayer dollars. We have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work. That's what Haba told reporters. And I agree with her as well, because, yeah, there may be some people working in the federal government who are not doing their jobs, and maybe they were just political appointees or returning favors by some politicians, what have you. And that's where you can do this in a very smart way. And I believe, supposedly, Elon Musk is supposed to be that smart guy, but instead of using a sledgehammer or a chainsaw, you got to use a scalpel, and that's what now President Trump has said. So let's see how this thing shapes up. So Doge targets child support database full of income data. So Elon Musk has now that information as well of everyone's income data who is sending child support. or providing child support. More than one third of the total came from billionaires, entrepreneur Elon Musk's efforts with Trump's blessing to reduce the federal headcount. Challenger put the total of announced federal job cuts at 62,242, spanning 17 agencies. So this is basically where these job cuts are real. And then one good news here with regards to the divided Supreme Court says judge can force Trump administration to pay foreign aid. And Judge Amy is under fire by Republicans and MAGA supporters because she basically voted based on Constitution. And now, because she was obviously appointed by President Trump in his first term, so Judge Amy is definitely feeling some heat, but she said that I'm not going to comment or basically going to get swayed. So that's called leadership, I would say. So the Supreme Court has come to the rescue because some of this U.S. aid and relief is important, and we've got to make sure that we provide that aid to people who deserve it. And last but not least, Europe basically has been thinking about having their own nuclear program, meaning Germany's supposedly next chancellor. He has asked this question that Germany obviously would like to have a nuclear, and French and UK, they are open to it. So now we will see nuclear proliferation because this 8 decades and 80 years of international rule-based system with security guarantees to the Europe and even to other countries who basically are pro-democracy and they want to play by the rules. US has always provided that guarantee, but now this whole seclusion and this whole isolation is going to cause that disruption. One more thing I would like to quote is senator from Pakistan, because Pakistan was mentioned in the State of the Union as well. His name is Senator Faisal Raza Abidi. He is on record on one of the local news channel. He actually made a claim that the reason President Trump, and who knows, he may get some briefing from some intelligence agencies, or he's a senator for many years. So he actually said, and I paraphrase and quote him, he said that the reason President Trump is more aligned and in close coordination with the President Putin and Russia, because all these minerals in Ukraine, those are the regions where those minerals are, and that's where Russia has attacked that area. So if the US has this signed agreement, obviously how are they going to extract those minerals? And what are those minerals? And I quote him, aluminum, titanium, and uranium, and magnesium or manganese. I think it's manganese. And this manganese and titanium and uranium, these are used for space shuttles as well, and for launching people to Moon and Mars and this space exploration. And now, can we connect the dots here? Because those minerals are needed, obviously, for SpaceX and all these programs. And Elon Musk obviously will be very happy to get those minerals. And that's where, again, this is the space tourism, again, for the super rich and rich, because people like you and I, we cannot afford it. And but they want to go in that direction as well. So these are some questions that the real press need to ask, but they don't ask those questions, but we ask these questions as well, because people ask me these questions as well. And then I'm also watching and following the news. So with that, I'm going to sign off, but this sign off will happen after a quick word from our key advertisers, because without their support, we are not able to provide you this key fact-based news and information. So Affordable Insurance of Texas, very affordable insurance for auto, home, health, commercial, business insurance, and homeowners insurance, AITinsurance.com. And you can call them at 713-785-4000, 713-785-4000. And AITinsurance.com. You can visit them on the web. Roopsari.com, men's trendy outfits, as well as traditional menswear like shalwar kameez, sherwanis, and more. So they have them. And then they also have a lot of women and ladies trendy outfits as well, and formal wear, informal for ladies. Roopsari.com is where you can even order, or visit them here in Houston at Harvin, close to hillcroftgroupsari.com. And then Famous Food Products, famousfoodproducts.com. You can visit them. They provide a lot of different kinds of over 2,500 products, and they also partner with brands like Unilever, Nestle, Shizon, K&N's product, National Pacola, and many more. And Sheikh Abdul Wahid from Delhi, India, they are in the sweets and dessert business. So you can connect with them. Famousfoodproducts.com is called Mr. Wahid Lala of Famous Food Products, and their number is 281-568-4200, 281-568-4200, famousfoodproducts.com, and they're located at 10507 Kinghurst Street, Houston, Texas, 77099. And then Demasis.com for authentic Mediterranean cuisine at Demasis restaurants in Houston, Greater Houston, even in various cities of Texas, Austin, Tyler, even in California. And you can visit them, demasis.com, to get their information for their locations, or to find a location, demasis.com. With that, I'm signing off. I know today's program, I wanted to cover all this. All has happened in the past 1 week. So President Trump is definitely keeping everyone busy, and then maybe chaos or this method to madness. I hope there is some method to this madness. That's where the commander-in-chief or the president of the United States of America need to address that, because the markets need to calm down. We want to see stability in the economy. Otherwise, no one is going to win this, only the billionaires and the multimillionaires, because the average Americans would be at loss, because we will see gas prices to groceries to eggs to any grocery item, they will go up. And then obviously with the automobiles, auto manufacturers have already spoken very loudly that $8,000 to $9,000, in some cases $10,000 would go up. So imagine that. So interesting times, but stay hopeful. I'm confident that President Trump and Trump administration will at least take this moment and this pause that they have put in place, because Howard Lutnick today, the Commerce Secretary, has said that we want to make sure, and I'm quoting and paraphrasing him, that some of the products, they want to make sure that the prices will not go up, but he didn't emphasize or even mention, and he was not specific on what products prices will go up. That's what we have to watch very carefully, because if some products prices will go up, but on some prices won't go up, then again, we are still not helping Americans, because some Americans will be happy and some will not be happy at all. So there has to be this happy medium and this thought leadership to make sure that we do this right. I can only hope. So with that, I'm signing off. And there is one comment here. Aftab Ahmed just gave me a thumbs up. So thank you. And anyone can always comment while I'm live. And now I will continue this on the traditional media. So with that, stay tuned here on the airwaves. And I'm signing off with the social media.